When I heard 17-year-old violinist Nazar Mikhailychenko play the opening notes of the Adagio from Bach Sonata No. 1 for violin, I sensed that he was a young musician with a quiet and determined focus on the beauty of the music. Attributes, as it turns out, that are serving him well in the shadow of the war that is devastating his countrymen in the Ukraine. When I hear about the outbreak of war around the world, I immediately wonder about its effect on the lives of ordinary people, and in particular, classical musicians who perform a music that normally thrives in peace and stillness, the opposite of the havoc and the chaos that war brings to the lives of people caught in the middle. The devastation and danger of the Russian and Ukrainian conflict has forced many to leave the region and seek asylum in Western Europe. When I met Nazar in East Grinstead, England, he explained to me how that decision was made for him.
My mother has many contacts in Facebook, and she found this program, Homes for Ukrainians, one day. And I can say my father was like an engine of this process.
Even though Dnipro has had minimal conflicts, his mother Zoya Medyanik and father Andrew Mikhailychenko were concerned. So when they heard about a program, Homes for Ukraine, they were elated.
Said my mom that just try to apply, why not, you can move outside from Ukraine. It will be more safe. Our city Dnipro is, there are no fightings in our city in Dnipro now, only missile strikes from time to time.
In 3 days they had a visa and were on their way to the UK. And as Nazar told me,
everything is new.
Their arrival was supported by a community group called BeingNeighborly in East Grinstead in West Sussex, England, about 30 miles south of London. Fiona Haywood, an organizer with the group, has coordinated their settlement in the area. Unfortunately, Nazar's father had to stay behind.
My father, after a day being in Uzhgorod, returned to home because we have pets at home, and you know it's dangerous just to leave the house with no one living inside. So he is still at home because he is 53, he can't leave the Ukraine, and I hope he will not go to the army, to the fightings, because he has quite bad health.
And Nazar will be 18 in January. And if he returns, he could be drafted in the army as well. So he doesn't know when he will visit his home again. Fortunately, the violin has been a part of his life that he has been able to take with him, a life as a young musician that began at the age of 7.
I was homeschooled, so my mother decided in the 3rd grade that I should stay home. In that way I can spend more time for violin. And so during the year I was practicing violin about 3-4 hours a day.
And his interest in mathematics has also led him to learning IT skills. I asked him if this was taking time away from his music.
Yeah, it's very different from the violin playing. Some people even think that I use the different parts of my brain.
And because computers and his violin were a great part of his life, leaving his friends behind was not so difficult for him.
I have not many friends in Ukraine at all, because firstly, I haven't met my friends at school. Only, there was an idea when I was finishing my 11th grade to do a final day where our pupils was going to meet for the first time. Yeah, that sounds like something unusual, that pupils will meet for the first time on the last day of the school.
They left Ukraine in April of 2022 and now have been in the UK for 5 months, but they have stayed connected by phone with Nazar's father.
I like to share with him all I see and experience with these all new things.
Including life in London and traveling in rural areas around the city.
What I told him was the roads left side, and also the road is quite narrow, and these ups and downs with hills. Every time we traveled, we got travel sickness, but now we're used to it. Then I usually tell my father about the people, about the shops, parks. I told him about London, which I can see now because during the studying at school, there were many topics about London in English books. Now I can see it by myself.
And they also talked about Nazar's future in the UK, his studies in music.
What about my career in life? I'm not sure for now which the road I will choose, or IT or violin, but I will try to enter university here. I also tried it now. In June I sent an application to the 5 universities in UK already, and got 2 offers from Glasgow and Newcastle University, but I'm not sure whether I will go this year to Glasgow, because I didn't get the scholarship, but they confirmed my place.
The violin is clearly an important part of Nazar's life, and it has allowed him to connect with new people in the world, away from the theme of war that has plagued the region throughout the 20th century. Ironically, Nazar chose to share with me on the violin the musical theme of a 1982 film called High Pass, about a family torn apart by World War II. When I asked him again about his first choice of pursuing an IT career and whether he would continue playing the violin, he said,
"Yes, I think maybe I will play in orchestra. I also would be very happy to play in band. It can be both jazz band, rock band. Yeah, maybe classical, but as for me, I like the jazz the most."
Whatever path Nazar chooses, jazz or classical, he certainly has a clear idea about what making music is all about.
Well, the most important is maybe firstly, maybe secondly, technique and accuracy. Also, my mood, which I experience during the playing. If it is active music, I need to show the audience this mood, and for example, if it is Bach, I want to show sometimes it's sadness. I think the best place for playing Bach music is the churches because of the high rooms and acoustics, yes. When I'm playing Bach in such buildings, I need to show the fullness of the sound.
Finally, I asked Nazar what he'd like to tell listeners as a member of a family who had to leave Ukraine and as a young musician.
Well, the one thing I can tell, it's great to sometimes change the place where are you living, because when you change the place, you change the style of your life, you change the actions, occupations which you are doing, and you can change your thoughts about music or other areas. It is good to change the place, because as you change the thoughts, you can go to the new level of your life, new level of thinking.
Indeed, meeting Nazar and hearing him talk about his life in music has brought everyone he meets who will listen to his story to a new level of thinking. Since I met Nazar in the UK in September, the conflict in Ukraine has again reached his home region, as the Epoch Times reported on October 19th that at least 2 energy facilities in the central city of Dnipro had been badly damaged, presumably by Russian artillery fire.